Hey guys, welcome to the live play part of this episode with my starring guest today being Toby. Hi Toby, thanks for joining me today.
Hi Hans, it's a pleasure for me.
Thanks. First of all, congratulations to winning the contest, and if any one of you want to participate in the next one, just follow the BBC forums and you might get as well the chance. So we're gonna jump off on NL10 today, as I already mentioned previously. And I'm gonna a little bit watch out what Toby exactly is going to do, what in what spots we might actually gonna get into, and let's see. And hopefully, I can point out to Toby some of his, let's call it, problem areas. So Toby, before we can kind of like start, can you maybe tell us what do you struggle the most with when you kind of like play poker from like a technical point of view?
I would say my biggest problem is how to play with overpairs, because the most of the time I lost.
Sorry, do you mean like you get attached to them, then it's like harder to fold, or like you don't know when to fold or when
Yes,
to call?
I don't know when to fold, and most of the time I three barrel there, and then I get snapped with a set or something else.
Ah, okay. I mean, yeah, that's true. It's like I was like pretty nitty with these overpairs, especially like versus raises on the river. I'm typically playing them like bet, and if somebody shows me any aggression on these kind of stakes, I'm typically going to lay them down. I mean, without any reads or like any additional information that would kind of give me some proof to like deviate from my standard line. Other than that, I noticed that you, in the 9-8 hand in the previous one, blind versus blind, you could have taken a stab at some point. I mean, you typically don't want to lose to Jack high in that kind of spot, and with 9 high, if you fold Jack high or King high with a half pot bet, then you're pretty happy, especially like when the Queen comes. And other than that, 7-5 suited on the cutoff could have been an open. And we are going to 4x under the gun, right?
Yes.
Do we gonna 4x as well the MP?
No.
Ah, okay. Sure.
I open a 4x from UTG and 3x from MP, 2.5 from cutoff, and just a min raise from the button and from the small blind.
Okay. So, what you said other than overpairs, what do you think is your other problem area? Let's call it this way.
Second problem are very loose fishes. I lost a lot of money against them because I think I have to play tighter, but I can't.
That's true. I'm also like a pretty big station against fish, so it's like I go on their level. I mean, I just use two very simple facts. A lot of microstakes player have the leak that they don't value it enough, and like the biggest example of all is probably like the fish. I mean, there are fishes who are value betting probably even too thin, but typically they do not value bet thin. So most of their hands, when they get to the river and bet, they're very frequently polarized, and so kind of like bluff catching lighter, I think is typically very fine because I think they're going to have a very decent bluffing ratio in that spot. So, but always that doesn't mean we should like always call down with like bottom pair because that's gonna be a typical pretty loose. 6-4 suited could also have been 3-bet on the open raise on the cutoff, since nobody on this table is actually pretty active. I haven't seen a lot of 3-bets since we play, so that's why I do like to open this like suited 1-gappers on the cutoff, and try to steal as much more possible, because I don't think that microstakes player typically defend enough, especially versus the cutoff. I think even low stakes regulars do not defend enough versus the cutoff, and that's why I believe that stealing a bit lighter when the games that are kind of passive, well, is actually fairly good because you don't really risk getting a 3-bet and fold. I mean, you are risking a bit, but not as much if games are passive. And at the same time, you might even play a pot in position, just c-bet, and possibly take it even down. So that's like the advantage, I would say.
Okay. Here I can call with a7.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty must defense. Unluckily, we did not really hit very, very well.
Should I bet here in 2 guys with this dry board?
No, I typically don't suggest really to bet like here unless you have like a hand that can continue applying pressure on the turn. Like for example, 7-6 with backdoor flush draw and second pair and like backdoor open enders could be a possible like betting hand where you're kind of trying to take down the pot, and at the same time, if somebody is going to show you resistance with a call, you can continue applying pressure on certain turn cards. So, but pocket uses, it's like really hard because you cannot like continue on a lot of turns. If you get called, you just have 2 outs to improve, unless we discount the straight possible. So it's typically fairly hard.
Okay.
So, and of course, ace-8, what's your plan?
Fold.
No, defend.
Passive or raise?
No, just call. Just call. It's a fairly nice. It's a cash hand to defend. It's a cash hand to defend. I mean, you are going to dominate in some of his aces. I mean, it's not like he's going to fold ace-2s off on the cutoff. So you are going to be ahead of some of it. So I think on the flop, what's your plan with ace-8?
I would fold now.
No, you have to call once.
Because of the gut shot and the overcard?
Yeah, it's a fairly enough hand. He might be, I don't know, betting queen 10 and just then just going ahead and c-betting and try to take down the pot. And also you have some equity, so it's not like the end of the world. On the turn, I think it's fairly close. I personally believe that folding should be the better play because people very often value bet here should be fold. Yeah, I mean I guess it will fold because people bet ace-5 for example, or ace-4, so you can easily get value on here. That's why I would just go ahead and muck the hand, or because the hand becomes like too weak, and so it has to go like into a check raise or check fold. And I do believe that check raising here is pretty optimistic and fancy, sort of like. But with reach, it might even be the possible play if the opponent, you have a stat that he's kind of like folding a lot to raise turns. Could be possible to raise it on the turn with that kind of hand. But as I said, that's kind of like fancy for these kind of stakes, and something that I do not believe is a must to do in order to like beat this kind of stakes. I think fairly straightforward play, which would be like over 2 overcards, gut shot, very frequently the nut gut shot, very frequent.
Sorry,
yeah.
Should I defend on table 3?
No, I think it's a fold. I think your hand is a 3-bet or a fold.
Okay.
Because it's like a little bit like too weak to call. I mean, if it's fish, I think it's fine. But against anybody who seems like a regular, I think it works better as a fold.
Okay, and if it was a 10 check suited,
I think then it's fine to go ahead and call 3-bet. I think it's a hand where I would 3-bet. I mean, you have to understand that calling is also not wrong because your hand is fairly strong. The button has a wide range, so calling is also fine. It's just that I think that taking the initiative is gonna just work way better typically. Okay. Do you usually since you probably have read the No 6 Mac bullshit, right?
Yes, of course.
Do you implement it that when somebody checks that you kind of like bet twice?
Yes, but in my experience, I get often floated, and they play their monsters passive. So in my experience, I lost some money in that spot.
So when somebody checked behind, you
Yes.
just bet twice. You did not make any money using that line.
I'm not sure. I have to look in my database.
Okay. I mean, I just thought you kind of had an experience because I think reactions are pretty like vary a lot from people to people. So I was wondering what's yours kind of. Because I saw as well somebody saying that they did get very good results with that line. So yeah.
I think it depends on the poker skin where you play. So
Yeah, I have to agree. I have to definitely agree on that. For example, would it be now a trouble area for you if, for example, you catch a raise either on the flop or on the turn? Okay, now on the
sorry.
turn, I guess not. But did you mean that that's like kind of like the problem spot that you sometimes face? Then somebody raises you in this kind of texture on the flop.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I typically, I think on this texture, if somebody showed me a lot of aggression, I think folding is fine.
On table 2 I can fold.
Yeah, I do. I would fold. It's like a very simple, let's call it a disciplined fold, because you also have like other hands. Tell me what you want to do with ace-9.
Normally I would fold.
No, fold is like out of question. It's like whether a call or a 3-bet. What do you think is better?
So I would say calling, because
Okay,
it's cheaper.
go ahead. Okay, it's cheaper. That's typically shouldn't be the argument. It's cheaper. Typically, when you decide a hand, it's always like the playability of your hand. So what kind of hand can you flop, post flop? The other would be like, how does your opponent play it? Well, that's something we don't know. And the hand works. No, don't raise. It's just a call.
Okay.
I mean, you have a flush draw, but you have as well a overpair. And for example, now if you raise, you do represent, so we can definitely try if he bets. You can now go ahead if you want to raise, or you can of course still lie and check raise the river. Both lines are pretty fine. Of course, now you're kind of relying him betting the river, which he won't probably.
No,
and now go ahead and jam because he has a flush most likely as well. Or a 10. Flush or 10. I believe... What do you think he has? Let's just... No, he folds. Interesting bluff. Or probably very nice fold by the opponent. If he laid down a flush, but I don't think he laid it. No, 10-8 suited you could have played in position.
okay.
It's like a hand that plays very good in position because you have position the overall position in the hand, which means nobody will, in a possible multi-way pot, gonna act after you. That's why you do kind of like flatting here, trying to here and there take the pot on the flop mostly. If the opponent checks, you just give a stab, and very often you should be ahead in this kind of spots.
So in this spot, I can call once.
I think it's rather a fold. Personally,
okay.
I believe it's a fold.
Just
if
4
somebody,
outs and.
Yeah, I think you should be. Again, I think your hand is a little bit like too weak to to call, so it's rather a raise or fold. Queen never check. Queen 9 again.
Oh,
When you post the blind in this kind of
okay.
like, that's typically like a software issue.
Mm.
I mean, I wouldn't say software issue, but I don't like it either. When you kind of like post the blind, because you kind of like blind out, sit out, or whatever,
Mm.
you should be in this kind of spot open raising, at least trying to take down the pot. Because
Okay.
if for example let's say the button was attention and was looking at what's happening at the table, he would realize that you have here a 100% range. Now take a stab at least.
The problem with this software here is you have to activate
Yeah,
the
yeah, exactly.
rating for big blind button. So
Yeah, true. Yeah,
so no.
river is gonna be interesting. I think it's a check. He doesn't have an ace, so we could possibly make like a super tin, like maybe 10 cents. He shouldn't have an ace. Yeah, he doesn't have it, but that's a little bit like too optimistic to get called. I thought we might get value a little bit of like jack. So yeah. As I said, you have like their 100% range when you can post the blind and play check. You most likely don't really have a strong hand, so people can typically attack you more, ISO raise more. Let's call it this way, because they can generate more fold equity. I like the 7-6 suited 3-bet. We haven't been 3-betting a lot, so it should get a little bit like of credit.
The players here are really passive.
What did you say? They are really
passive.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
what would you do on table 1?
I would call on table 1 if that's queen jack off, and I would call as well queen jack suited. I mean, it's a 5-fix. You kind of like don't like it, but maybe he bought Gordon's W6 max bullshit, W6 max win rate, and saw that ISO raises should be done with a large size. You never know.
Mm-hmm. And in this spot, on this medium dry board, if he c-bets, would you give him credit?
Well, I do not take a stab against unknown without like a particular reason. As I said, I'm kind of like no BSing, so I just don't have much, and so I'm kind of like giving up. Which is possible.
Okay, and on table number 3, he opens and 2 barrels.
I guess I would call. I mean, he did limp, so
you're right. Maybe one of these open ace or king limpers.
Well, on the river, I'm obviously never folding. I think you should be going. I think it's close between going only. And I think you should make a min raise.
A min raise?
Yeah, min raise, just min raise. I mean, that's typically cool. Should be getting value out of block bet of jack X that I presume he had here, or has here, the way he plays. I mean, he mucked it. So,
okay.
What did he have? Let's learn.
1 second.
Okay.
Ace queen.
Ace queen. Okay.
Ace queen off.
Well, the way they play their ace queen. But yeah, I mean, I think on the river, as I said, I think it would be fine as well to jam, because a recreational player, like let's call it in this position of fish, is typically gonna have, when they limp call, a lot of other weaker cheap pairs. So I think pushing in that spot is okay. I mean, you have to be aware that some percentage of the time you are going to value own yourself. That's just a fact. But I think overall, I do like a min raise a lot in that spot.
Okay.
Because you are gonna get bet called very frequently by some. I expected actually something like Jack 10 was typically my guess. As I said, I did expect like a block bet. So yeah.
I never min raised the river. That's
yeah.
It was the first time.
Well, it is kind of like weird. I mean, I do kind of like to make min raise, like play this 10 value bets. I think there are typically doing fairly well because people, I think it's like annoying when somebody like min raises you. You get these like really nice odds, and you invest so much money up to the river, and then you just have to kind of like fold. So yeah, as I said, I do kind of like tend to min raise, and I think I got really nice results with him. So kind of proves me that I'm somewhat correct about that. So how long are you, Toby, actually playing poker already?
I would say 6 or 7 years. The first years I just played sit and goes.
Ah, so you switched from sit and goes to cash.
Yes, I read a lot of books and had some coachings, but I'm not a really successful sit and go player. So, and at one time I saw Gordon's videos on PokerStars, the champions stand up one more time.
Yeah.
So, and I thought he had very good thoughts about poker, and it sounds easy, easy and just easy.
Well, I have to say that actually poker to a certain degree like is very, very simple. Oh, that's interesting. I hope Pauli is not going to call you. You are going to call, or you're going to fold, Ace Queen.
Against him,
Yeah,
I would call.
I will call as well. I think I would snap it faster than he can actually push. Well, oh, that's gonna be interesting. Come on, hold on. No, this is not gonna go. But yeah, I think, as I said, I would have kind of like snapped them. What I want to say is like poker is like on the lower stakes, like really, really kind of like simple. I mean, you're with like super simplistic poker, you're not like gonna be the crusher that can typically brag in the forums or something similar, but you can obtain very nice win rates. You can make some money, pocket money, living or whatever. No ace 10, do not fold. Ace 10 off is going to be a defend. Now, for example, ace 10 here, if you kind of like c-bets, can go into a check call, can go into a check raise. I think both lines are fine, because you have some playability, so you can kind of like, if there comes, you can call, let's play kind of like passive. As I said, you're gonna hit a lot of turn cards that are gonna give you additional equity. So you can call once again, and at the same time you might be ahead of some of his random hands that he kind of like decided to c-bet. And now I think on the turn they're pretty often honest, and so they kind of like and so on the river I think you just can make half pot and pray for a call because he doesn't have much, I guess, at least. He might surprise me and show me the nuts. would be sick to catch a raise now. Come on, let's. Interesting. He did not barrel the turn, which King 8. What are you thinking of?
Should I call?
No, you just should 3-bet if you think of playing.
No, fold.
Oh. You kind of don't like 3-betting?
I like 3-betting.
You kind of like look for the cheaper way out?
Maybe I'm a bit money scared because I didn't play NL10 for a long time.
Ah, okay.
So
I mean, I'm just gonna say like the fact is that your hand is typically way too weak to call against MP open raise, because mostly it cannot like hit any straights. So your hand, as I said, overall is a little bit like too weak. That's why your hand should either go into a check like fold or a 3-bet range when the hand is not strong enough to call. Since I guess my last hand would be like King 9 that I would call here suited. I guess King 8 is the next best hand, so I guess I
Okay.
would throw in the raise. A 3-bet there.
At which stakes did you optimize the NL, the no limit 6 max bullshit ranges?
I guess.
Or
Yeah. I do. I think it was NL50 personally.
okay.
I think it was like I was running like very bad. I think it was like 60 binds below a V, and then like when you're kind of like run bad, at least I'm like very motivated, way more than I'm actually when I'm running good, because it forces me to work. When kind of like things are running good, then I'm like settling down and feeling good. So as I said, it's kind of like a personal characteristic that not anybody is probably going to have a more easy time working on their game when they're like running bad. So as I said, and at that point I looked for details. What could I have changed with bet size, and what would I normally do in this spot, and what's like the better way to turn it around. So always was the first question, what's my default, and why do I think that these default do not apply, and or what's in my default bet size wrong, for example.
Okay.
In some spots I do believe that the default play, let's say, bet is correct, but just with another size. And this way I would say somehow I managed to get my breakthrough, because I believe on like stakes where you can make a living from poker, the edges you typically are found in details. I mean, of course, if you're playing in a 100, you don't need to be the sickest player in the world to make a living. But if you kind of like want to crush the stakes, then sure, you're gonna have to look for details in order to find the edges.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's how it is. And on these stakes, as far as we saw here, I mean, nobody did really 3-bet a whole lot. So the games were looking pretty passive, I would say. I don't know, maybe you can confirm.
Yes, I can confirm it.
So I guess compared to like probably Stars or iPoker, the games there are way more aggressive than here.
I played about 50,000 hands now on Betfair.
Yeah, that's iPoker network, right?
iPoker, but the player pool is also very tight.
Very tight.
Tight, not aggressive, very passive. They call down their sets, 2 pairs. You didn't face any aggression there, not a lot.
Okay, very interesting. Didn't thought it goes that way. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I do believe that on this kind of whether you're thinking about second barreling, I think I would have checked, and probably if it would check back, I would have probably played bet check bet in that spot, because I think you accomplished pretty much the same, and you just realize way more easier on the turn if he kind of like checks back. He mostly doesn't have a king, or he mostly has like second pairs, mostly third pairs, 8x, 9x, 9s, and so on, that you can kind of like try to bluff out on the river. But you should not do against fish or something like pretty brave who has some hero calling tendencies. So I guess that was it for today. I would like to say thank you for Toby for managing the technical part and for taking part in the video and for participating.
You're welcome.
So guys, that was it. There's gonna be now like a wrap up for the NL10 and Microgaming. So thanks for watching and good luck at the tables. Bye bye.
So guys, let's kind of like wrap up this video that we kind of saw. And once again, thanks Toby to participating. Anyway, in this whole video, what we just saw, I think I can conclude that you should be nowadays still 3-betting as much as possible. So I think there's a lot of players. I mean, I tend to believe that the micros are currently like splitting into two divisions. Sorry, actually. The first one is the people that do not fold at all, and the second one is the ones that fold kind of like too much, or in general fold a lot, the 3-bets. So I tend to believe that, as I said, you should be 3-betting as much as possible, but against the ones that do not fold, increase like your value range. For example, always 3-bet king queen, maybe ace jack, and so on, in like situations that against somebody who's like typically folding a lot to 3-bets, you probably would be more calling. The guys that fold much to 3-bets, you should attack them more with like playable hands, like for example maybe add some like suited 1-gappers, here and there, like some strong king X hand type of hand, and or like strong, let's say queen 8 suited or something similar. You should not be like 3-betting I don't know, queen 5 off just because he's folding a lot. I mean, then you're kind of like going to 3-bet him every hand, and sooner or later he's gonna start playing back at you, and you kind of like develop a dynamic that you possibly or not, I don't know, it's like individually can or can't handle. That's why I also would like to focus as well. What I noticed is that you shouldn't be playing too much fit or fold. I mean, it's not only about the hand on the flop, but it's also very often about the fact that sometimes you're just gonna call and he's gonna check back, and you're just gonna win on the river by bet bluffing and so on. So playing fit or fold is okay, but probably then NL10 to be like, let's say, a steady and a decent winner, you should still be able to defend a bit more. It doesn't mean you should now get spewy. And now every time like check raises with 2 overs and like a backdoor flush or whatever, but it should point you out that you should be in some sort of way think about that your fold to c-bet shouldn't be like 60% or something, because this is one of the reasons why very frequent Micro Sticks player have these kind of leaks that they do defend, but post flop they do not react properly. So what I noticed, and I think it's very likely that a lot of Micro Sticks players have a problem, is that they're afraid in like investing money in aggressive lines, or if they invest money in aggressive lines, they don't do in the right spots on the right situations. So if, for example, just the problem frequently relies in the fact that these kind of aggressive lines, when you take them and do not work, you feel like a little bit like results oriented. So, which is understandable with human beings, so we're very frequently results oriented. But the fact is, if the situation was good, it does not necessarily mean that that in the result has to be always the ones we kind of like expected. So as I said, and I do want to repeat, if the situation is right to pull out an aggressive move, you should probably take and this already starts by like making pre-flop some lighter 3-bets till maybe flop check raises and so on. Anyway, that was it for the NL10 part. I hope you enjoy it, and I wish you good luck at the tables, and see you in the next episode, which is going to be Microgaming NL20 live play. Good luck at tables, and bye bye.